Alright, you guys, I apparently have put you on the squinty side, so I'm going to be squinty here. One of the reasons why I'm not wearing, my usual attire and all this is one of the things is that, I want to be completely honest with you guys that from the very beginning of this, I went through a period of depression, anxiety, and insomnia and whatnot that eventually cost me my job as a personal trainer, and I'm working my way to get back into that field. So part of that, because I had the insomnia, the depression, and all that, I fell off the wagon, guys. And so, I'm not horrible, but I have put on weight. I'm down 20 pounds from where I was about 4 months ago or so. So, guys, I'm going through this program the same as you. I'm kind of starting off on square one along with you guys. I do have the knowledge, I do have the experience to get us there, but I don't want to portray myself as some kind of perfect fitness guy, because frankly, nobody's perfect. Including those guys that are so incredibly dedicated all the time, guys. Everybody's flawed. We are all human. So I want to make sure that we are starting off with that understanding that we are going through this together. I'm not going to be perfect throughout all of this, but I'm going to be doing my best to keep up with you, and you guys are kind of my motivation to keep going for this. So the more that we are all participating together, the more that we are communicating our needs and all that, the more we're going to get out of this. And so anyways, one of the things that's going to be the most commonly used tool in this entire program is going to be the TRX. And if you want to spend, the $200 to get a real TRX, probably $400, because some of the work that I'm going to have you guys do is going to require two that are separated. You can do it with a regular TRX, guys, but and this is something maybe I'll do this video right after I do this one, but kind of explaining movement science a little bit more, which is that gravity pulls straight down, right? I'm going to do that on another video, but for this, if you come back to a single point and you're doing an adduction, that adduction is going to be assisted by you being on a single point, right? If the further apart those 2 points are that you're pulling against, the more resistance that you're going to have, and potentially the less range of motion that you're going to have, depending if you go into extremes. So that being said, that's why I want us to have 2 points that we are suspending off of. So something like a tree branch that's going to be a thick one that can support you on both sides, or two tree branches that happen to be apart from each other that you can get close enough with, is going to be ideal for any exercise that we're going to be doing adduction with. Now, you guys have seen this in our other workout videos. This is my ghetto TRX. Now, one of the things that we found to be uncomfortable, and I'm not even sure if this is going to be the best fit yet, but taking another piece of rope, putting it through here, and then tying it off into a little loop. What we could do is, maybe do a double hitch or something so it can't get through on this side, and then doing the same thing with the other side, creating a little stirrup for you guys to put your feet in. This piece of rope is too small, but that's kind of the idea. You could, and I haven't really played around with it, the way that TRX does it is actually the loops cross in the middle here, and then they come back out and become the stirrup. And you could do that and maybe stitch your rope so that it can't loosen up and whatnot. So there's options that you have there. So to make this, guys, the way that I measured is I used my hand. I put it on the PVC pipe, and I just kind of eyeballed it and been like, okay, I want to have, maybe 1.5 to 2 inches of extra space there, because the rope's going to be coming this way on it to come to the center point, and I don't want it rubbing on my hand, so I made it a little bit longer for that. One of the problems with this design is this is, potentially sharp, not like sharp, you're not going to cut yourself on it, but it's going to wear out your rope faster than something that would be rounded off or smoothed. And so, if you have a countersink drill bit, you can drill in there a little bit to kind of fix this angle a little bit so you don't have that sharp edge, and that might increase the longevity of your Ghetto TRX. Now, I just passed my rope through here, and then I'm going to tie it off with a bowline. And so to do a bowline, and it's always a little bit wonky for me to be doing it upside down. Usually I will, secure in some way, and then you're going to create a loop, right? And so the loop should be, sorry. So since I'm coming off on this side, the loop should be on the outside, right? And so this is going to be backwards here, right? So I believe it might be right, actually. So so basically what you want is, if you do it the wrong way and you put this through and you hold on to it, then you create tension. You see that it kind of slips out and that doesn't do anything there. So you want to flip it around this way. So I'm holding this in with my right hand. I am looping to the outside, and I'm taking the bottom rope and looping it upward, okay? Then I'm going to go through the loop, and then I'm going to go around my tie-off cord, the one that I'm going to be going to the top with, and then I'm going back through and then cinching down, and I got that backwards. See, this is why I'm doing this way. So, so I had that over the top, so I'm going to actually take it to the back. That should work. So, through the loop, around the other rope, back through, and then cinch down. And what you're going to see here is you're going to see like a little loop here, and then you have this big loop that goes around all your lines, and it won't slip, guys. This is one of the most secure knots. People use it in the boating industry all the time. I'm used to tying it off overhead with an overhead loop of sorts there, so that's the way you're going to be able to tie a bowline. Now, for changing the height of this, because you're going to have to do that, I've toyed around with a couple different methods. One of them is just to tie it off, right? So I can just go through here and find the length that I want it on and throw a bowline on there, right? So that's one way you can do it. The other way that you can do it is that you could just create a little trucker hitch here. So you create a little loop, go around itself and back through itself, and then put a carabiner here and just clip it on. Another way to do it, because I have to adjust all the time, I'm going to come down here near the handle, and I'm going to put my trucker's hitch there. Okay? Then I loop back, go through the point, go through my little loop, pull it to whatever height that I want it to be, right? And, I can already see the inherent problem with this is I can't get to mid-calf with the length that I have it on, so I would have to move my trucker's hitch higher, but it doesn't matter for right now. So once I get to the height that I want it to be at, I can just tie it off with a double hitch, right? And the trucker's hitch is going to keep it relatively in the same place that you put it at, whereas other knots that you put in there might slip immediately. So that's a quick way that you can adjust, but the problem with it is that once you got it adjusted, I have to match this side to that side, and that can become problematic. Now, one of the TRX sets that I have, and I didn't bring it out here, maybe I should have, has both handles on the same rope, which is fine, and it's using a longer rope. So what I might do in that instance, right, since I want to have my handles out all the same length, instead of putting in, since I can't put an end through, I'm going to put the middle through, come through, make sure that both ends are even, and then tie off. Now, if you're doing that, and I'm going to use a double hitch, I just did a single hitch up here for now, but a single hitch is not going to hold you, right? I might use a bowline. That's going to be a little bit more complicated and harder to keep both sides even. So that is a way that you can handle that two-sided rope. Now, if you're using like a tree, right? The way that I tend to like to do it, and maybe I should have, I'm gonna grab a pole for you. So I can use like a bastardized version of a rolling hitch. So basically, this is my end where my rope is coming up, and this is not particularly easy to adjust, but this will actually work even if the pole is vertical, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and I'm going to make a little loop. Then I'm going to cross my docking line and make another loop. And I like to go another time around, and then I'm going to go through my initial line, right? And then I'm going to finish it off with just a double hitch here. And all I'm doing is making a loop and going through it, right? So that my rope is pinned down on every single layer. So once you put some weight on this, even vertical, you see it's not moving down, right? So if you have like a flagpole that you're using, or a fence pole or something that you have access to, that will work if you use that particular hitch. And you don't have to do that extra loop on it. The traditional one won't actually have that third loop before you go back and go under. So, you know, that's just something that you can play around with. That's going to make it more able for you to find places that you can work out. So, yeah, I've discussed how to make these. For cutting the pipe, guys, you can use, I don't remember if I said so, you can use a utility knife, but you can also, they have, and they'll be in the same section in your hardware store as the pipe was. There's a little tool that basically has a blade, and then it has two little arms underneath that have a space between it, and you just plant it on where you want to cut, and you go bick, 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 and it'll cut all the way through. They don't necessarily always make the straightest lines, but neither does a utility knife. I find a compound miter saw to be the best way to cut pipe, but that's neither here nor there. You use whatever you got, guys. This doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is ugly as fuck. So other things that I can tell you that you can do with this is that, you know, you could have, especially if you have a higher point, or if you want to just go through here and have like a tie-off down here, you could have another piece of rope that you're tying off to this bottom piece, right? And you can just feed through and tie off your carabiner or whatever, and then just clip to whichever height that you need to go to on that anchor loop, if that makes any sense. And that way that becomes very easily and quickly adjustable for you. And that's going to be one of the things that's just going to be make it easier for you to use it. Now, for the most part, when I'm planning the circuits that we're doing, I'm trying to avoid changing the heights too much, because it's not necessarily as easy with the rope as it is with other versions of it, like an actual TRX or a TRX knockoff, where you can just slide up and slide down. So kind of give you a little bit of the basics of a TRX, especially if you're, yes, I have shade over here, I'm going to use this, is that you have 4 different settings, maybe 5, that are commonly used. One of them is not part of the original TRX curriculum, so I don't know whether or not people tend to feel like it's, you know, a bastardization, but it works, and so go ahead and use it. So the different positions for the TRX are going to be fully shortened. That's where the sleeve with that yellow tab on it slides all the way up, and you can't pull it up any further. I have seen people like try to move the clamp up to those positions, and that's wrong. Other people will like slide the thing up, but they won't use the adjuster, so the length of the supported side doesn't stay straight. No, you want to pull it under tension till it gets to the length that you want, and you want to back it out without holding onto the tab, unless it's a loose tab, till you get down to the position you want. So fully shortened is when there's going to be 2 lines on your TRX, right? There's going to be one at towards the top and one towards the middle. So all the way on the top is going to be fully shortened. The one in the middle is considered mid. If you lengthen it all the way down to where it's maxed out, that is fully lengthened, right? So the other position that is standard is going to be your mid calf, and you guys are about to get a spider on you. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to give you a blowjob. Anyways, so the other position is going to be called mid calf, and so if I put it up here, mid calf is basically, you see where the calf muscle is round and then it tapers in suddenly. You want to have the handle part of the handle on that position, and sometimes you might find that the bottom of the loop, the stirrup loop, is more comfortable for you for whatever exercise that you're trying to do. So, you know, you figure out where that is the most comfortable. And then the last one is called dog ear. And dog ear means that you take the TRX and you disregard the lines and you disregard the strap that you pull up, and you pull the anchoring unit, which is usually they've changed it over the years. It's kind of like a little circle that has a bar in between it right now. So you bring that all the way up till it meets the spinning spot in the top. Like there's a little loop up there that allows it to go side to side. That's for stability, guys. That's intentionally there. So you take that runner all the way up to that position. That would be dog ear. So to talk about those basic positions, you're for like pulling exercises like rows and W flies and whatnot, you're going to be using the fully shortened position, which is the top of the two yellow lines with the little loop sitting on top of that. Mid is going to be more for like supported leg exercises, like if you're doing drop lunges or squats or whatnot. We're not going to do a whole lot of that with our program, so we're probably not going to be using the mid that often. So mid is also used for like TRX alligators, which we will do, which is when you, I call them alligators, guy, that you'll find that I have like a lot of non-standard names for things that are usually animal-based. Just laugh and keep going. So the alligator is when you're pulling straight up and down. If it's fully shortened, it's going to max out before you can get to full length. So you want to have it at like mid or fully long, but fully long will also have the thing where you're just too parallel to the ground, you can't get far enough away, so that mid-range is usually going to be a better choice for that. Now, fully lengthened is for like pushing exercises, chest press, decline presses, that type of thing. The mid-calf is for ankle support, right? So if I'm doing a supported side lunge, which we will do, then my non-working leg is going to be supported. If I'm doing a Bulgarian split squat with the TRX, that's going to be mid-calf as well. If I'm doing like an assisted pull-up, right, then it's going to be up at dog ear. So when you're setting up your TRX, when you are down and you're doing like an equalizer push-up position, the bottom of your straps should be under tension 3 inches from the floor, right? Sorry, I'm second guessing myself because part of my brain's saying that it was 8 inches, but I'm pretty sure it's 3. It should say in your TRX manual. It's not hypercritical, it's a 3-inch difference, and to be perfectly frank, it's going to be different depending on your height. So, you know, and how high your point is. So when you're trying to figure out where to put your anchor, guys, generally speaking, that let's say 3 to 8 inch range is where we want to sit, but I'm pretty sure it's 3. You can use 5 to split the difference if you want. So, guys, that's kind of the basics for this piece of equipment, which right now is going to be the most important one that we use. Now, I did get this out of Home Depot. This is, again, and I know I already talked about mounting brackets. This guy is kind of okay. What I don't like about it, besides that there's no lateral, so if I pull on it this way, there's not a lot of lateral support. It's just whatever the screws are holding. So if you have that up into your ceiling in 2x4, you might have some issues that come up along with this. And if I remember correctly, this guy is welded in the middle where this ring comes together. Welds can fail. And some of these guys, if you're looking at them at the store and they're not welded, they're just bent into that position, that will not work. You want it at least welded, if not forged. Forged means that it is the metal is in that shape when they finish shaping that metal. So it's you know, you're either hammering it out or you're using a mold and creating that shape, rather than just bending metal into that shape. If it can be bent, it can be unbent. And so those are just some safety things that we want to make sure that we're doing. As far as like the screws go, if you guys are going into a ceiling joist stud, if it's a 2x4, you probably want a screw that's 3 inches long, right? If you can fit one in, you want to go with a thicker bolt, and you will want to pre-drill that so that it doesn't get stripped out, or you don't split the wood, which is a concern. So you know, pre-drill your holes if you can, but make sure that you're, in case you've never done it before, whatever drill bit you're using, you want it to, if you're covering the screw with it, you want to be able to see all the threads, the whole body of the threads, and maybe barely of the column in the middle, right? Looking through that screw, and generally speaking, or through that drill. generally speaking, the drill bit is going to have the shank at the bottom that is not the drill bit is going to be the same diameter as the drilled part. So if you want to measure that, because the spirals are making it hard for you to see, you can use that to measure that. Even if you go a little bit on the small side, guys, and I'm saying a little bit, that way you're going to know that the threads are going to be right, and the odds of you splitting the wood inside are going to be very, very low because you've already pre-drilled that, so you're not stretching the wood out as much as you're just going into it. If you go a little bit large with it, then the threads aren't going to hold on as much, and you're going to likely strip out and pull that screw out, so we don't necessarily want to do that. So guys, I think that's what I got for you as far as you know, the suspension unit goes. And I don't have a problem with you guys using a real TRX. I don't mind you using the knockoffs. Some of the knockoffs, guys, come as individual arms, and that is going to be better for what we're doing. Yes, I know that you have that little loop at the top that works for stability for certain exercises. That's not as critical for me right now. There are reasons why you would want to do that, but especially when you're doing like hamstring runners or mountain climbers or something like that. But you know, the thing is that you're still going to be getting a lot out of it when you're doing a suspended hamstring curl or suspended mountain climber, even if you don't have that stability element added into it. And there are ways that we could probably approximate that, but I'm not sure that they're safe. What I'm saying about that is, like, if you have a tree or something like that and you have, you know, a pole like this, maybe probably thicker than this one, and it's like, you know, shoulder width apart, you could put an anchor here in the middle, or you can just tie off to the middle using that rolling hitch that I showed you, and then tie off your TRXs on either side of this, and then it's going to wobble for you, and then you can actually have that stability element come back in. But it depends on how well you use your nuts, and you know, how much you trust whatever you're going off of. You know, so I tend to say, you know, when you're looking at stuff that you're going to do, try to bend it at the hardware store. Does it look like it's going to flex? Does it look like it's going to snap or deform? Those are going to be key elements that I want you guys to look for. If you wanted to go ahead and do that method, and again, that's going to be up to you when the time comes. It's a little bit out there. I think it's 6 weeks out before we actually get into that. So there you go. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Good luck getting stuff together. Let me know if you have questions, comments, concerns, or you're having difficulty with any part of this, and we'll see if we can find a solution for you. All right? See you guys soon.